Okay, welcome to the City of Laredo Max Mandel Golf Course Advisory Committee committee meeting. Today is May 29th. May 30th?
May 31st.
May 31st, 2023, 12:15 noon. So we get a roll call, please.
All right, let me.
Oh, first of all, pledge of allegiance, please. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
All right. Mr. Bruno Slate. Here. Mario Rodriguez. Rick Garza.
Here.
Mr. Louis Pellegrin.
Here.
Mr. Gary Jacobs.
Hein for him.
Mr. Ricardo Contreras. Mr. Louis Gutierrez.
Here.
Mr. Fernando Rodriguez.
Here.
Okay. Mr. Chair, you got a quorum.
Okay, we have a vacant spot on number 8. Sorry about that. Item number 1.
You did it.
You already went over item number 1?
No.
Oh, the meeting to order.
Okay. Oh, the first item on the agenda.
There's nobody for public comments.
Huh?
Nobody signed up. Nobody signed up.
Okay. We move on over to items for discussion for possible action.
Just approval of the minutes, Mr. Chair.
Okay, are there any questions on the minutes from March 23rd, 2023? If there are no questions on that, do I hear a motion for approval?
So moved.
Do I hear a second on that? There's a second. All those in favor of approving the minutes for March 23rd, 2023, please say aye.
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 So moved. It's passed. Item number 6, staff reports. We have one report from Landscape Golf Management Superintendent's report.
That's where our.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and let Dennis take it from here.
And I'll let John take it from here. Do you have a report in front of you, or do you want to know? Okay. I have mine on my computer. Okay. Here you go. Okay. I guess we'll begin by introducing John. A lot of you haven't met John. I know some of you guys have been at the course and met John already. But this is John Taylor. Comes from us from Death Valley, California, so we bought him a jacket because he says it's too cold in Laredo. But he also comes from Florida, right? Been in the business, in the grass growing business for about 20, 30 years?
Yeah,
Yeah.
since '83.
In the golf business, either growing or something like that.
Yeah.
He got here May 1st. He's been at it as far as, in the short time that I've known him, always at work, which is good. We needed somebody on property all the time in the maintenance side of as an agronomist. But he wrote us a report. He's got some, I guess he's been working on some things. I'll let you take it from here, John, if you want to just go through it, and if you need any help from me, let me know.
All right. The first couple of things, just the golf course is beautiful. I mean, piece of property and everything is great. We have problems with 4 greens, really about 6 greens that are just starting to lose grass. Took the 4 main ones, closed them, put temporary greens out front, so we're letting them grow and we're doing maintenance on them. We're gonna start replacing sod on 2 of them next week. We have a nursery green that we have probably about 3,000 square feet of grass we can take from, and that'll open 10 green and most of 1 green. 12 and 18 are probably the worst, and we're going to try to bring sod in or sprigs in to fix those and replant our nursery green and probably build an additional bigger nursery green in case we have the problems next year. We can pull from the house. But what I've found the main issue is I still don't think we have a a real issue with the silt, because it would, to me, it would be a more widespread issue in other areas, not only greens, but fairways, tees. I think the biggest problem is that it's native soil that the greens are made out of, push-ups, which lead to heavy compaction, clay problems, like a clay base. With native soils, you might have nematode issues.
Which that we've had.
Yep. Insect issues, disease issues. And it kind of looks, after being here just a couple of weeks, that those greens were probably hit with like a pythium. You know, I don't know exactly when they started checking out. I'm gonna guess probably after a real heavy rain and, you know.
Pythium is what, just
A disease,
Okay.
a disease. It's a soil-borne disease. So the greens were probably weak from native soil, weak from nematode issues, and then stresses from nature just pushed them over the edge, is what I'm guessing.
May I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
Yes, ma'am.
This thing about the native soil, so it takes 13 years for this type of situation to materialize?
Yeah, I mean, it can. If you're not doing proper maintenance, say, you know, when you built the golf course, you have push-up greens. So your first step would be heavy core drilling more than 2 or 3 inches, which is regular aerification. Going down 8 to 12 inches, putting coarse sand in there, which would improve drainage, improve soil structure. And, you know, slowly over time, change the makeup of the green, of the
Yeah,
soil.
and, well, Dennis was asking me about if, back in 2010, if there was budget problems in term that surfaced and would have forced us to building the greens with native soil. I don't recall.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if I was on board with Mandel family at that time. Can I ask you another question?
Yeah.
You know, when you get to a group with economists and we ask them what the situation with the economy, you're gonna get, if you have 5 economists, you're gonna get 5 different
Yeah.
versions, right? So here goes mine in terms of the greens. I have given that I come from that fine institution on the Brazos River by the A&M, I have some contacts, you know,
Great. Yeah.
from agriculture and agronomists. So I talked to this buddy of mine, and first question he asked me when I showed him, because I took a picture of this, first thing he asked me, he says, did y'all have some real cold weather sometime early in the year? And we did, back in January, right? Sometime we had those 2 weeks.
Minus some, 12
And he
degrees.
says, how were the greens protected, the ones that were exposed? And he talked about putting sand or putting straw, or even putting a lot of water where you build like an ice rink to protect the green. Because if you don't, what it does, it kills the root.
Right.
So when it kills the root, it starts browning, and the natural tendency is to overwater, which results in this kind of deal.
Yeah.
Is that what happened, you think?
It could, I mean, but if you have a healthy, vigorously growing stand of grass, it's like anything else. It can withstand the stresses. You know, when a person has issues and then there's other stresses, you know, speaking of humans, when you have other stresses like pneumonia or something else that adds, it can send it over the edge. And that's what I believe that happened. You know, the grass was already stressed out, whether it be nematodes, compaction, whatever. It got hit with cold or with disease, and they checked out. It turned south.
When was the golf course really together? What year? When was the last year that everything was just the way you liked it?
Tom had it pretty good, I would say, right after COVID kicked in. So I think, because we left, remember, we didn't touch it for what, was it 6 weeks? March 20th to like June 1st. And everything looked really good. And that's probably, ever since then, I think In February of 2019 was when we got the POA, the bad POA.
Yeah.
And he sprayed it out, and it took a while, and then by the time came 2020, we didn't get POA that bad that year, and then, you know, it really looked good. I remember
I think
you came out.
I think from my experience, 2017, 2018 was the last time we got to see 365 days of beauty out there.
Yeah.
Where
And after that,
it
it's
got
kinda-
dormant, it got gold colored fairways and greens, and then it would come in. The year the POA was it took a complete 90-degree turn to that.
Mhm.
And so I'm not sure if and for a little bit of background on this, the last time we were here, Mr. Jacobs really questioned the ability of what we were doing and why it took us too long to identify it. Well, to identify it and to say something and to do something about it. And so that's where we're at now. And I figure that's why you're here,
Yeah.
right? So no disrespect at any level. The idea of what we were getting before was a lot of I think this is what we're gonna do. I think this is what the game plan's gonna be to repair it and to get it done. And I think the committee, pretty much the last time we met, we wanted a complete game plan as to how we're gonna change it so that we can all be on board. And then we started getting emails from what's his name?
Brandon.
From Brandon, as to what we were gonna be, or somewhat what we were gonna do. There's a lot of ifs in the action plan. There's a lot of unforeseen stuff that's gonna go on. And I'm not sure if that's part of the process, but we need to call it out. We need to say, look, this is what we're gonna do, that we still don't know even know if that's gonna work. One thing personally that kind of mystifies me a little bit, because they've identified before you got here that the river silt was the issue that covered up the sand, and we couldn't get proper drainage. And I thought we were gonna really build those temporary holes or temporary greens so that we can either scrape it off and redo it again, or we're gonna do partial, or what the idea is. But I think as part of this committee is what we decided last time was that we were gonna get an actual game plan going that says, what are we gonna do so we can call it? And we can go ahead and move on with it. The second part of that was obviously there's gonna be time issues, and there was gonna be cost restraints. What are we gonna do about all those type of things? So we were gonna go, and then that's not part of your.
Yeah.
It's above our pay scale over here.
Because I can spend money.
Well, the biggest thing is that we talked about is that during the design phase and the construction phase, that I'm not sure, did you guys move forward on, is there supposed to be a filtration system before the pumps?
That's what we were gonna.
Okay.
About.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's kind of addressed that here, and I guess he'll.
Yeah. I kind of came up with two remedies of getting it, and one of them is 2 or 3 times a year, deep tining. Make sure you fill the holes up with good coarse sand. Deep tine going down 12 inches, and make sure we fill it up. That way we get proper perk, proper drainage. Hopefully bust up some of that clay bottom. And by filling it up, you're slowly over 2 or 3 years just changing the soil structure. And that should remedy it. You might end up having to resod or replant 18 and 12, because they are probably 60% gone. The other one is to go in and do a modified PGA spec green, which going down a foot, removing all the soil, putting in sand, and resprigging or resodding. Well, when you go down a foot, put in good drainage, and then cover it with rock and sand, and then resod. The first part would probably be the most cost efficient. We'd need to purchase a machine to do the deep tine aeration, but it would pay for itself, because what we get a bid for a company to come in and poke holes, and it's $7,000-8,000 a shot. And
How much for the machine?
for the machine, which will do everything, poke the hole, fill it with sand all in one shot, is $70,000.
That's in your budget?
No, that's why we're here, right? Now.
And
do you have
I'm
pictures?
working on getting a demo for that machine.
That's
and
what we
hopefully,
like. That's
yeah,
what
hopefully
we
I can
like.
get
Do it on
it
4
under-
holes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. That's what I'm working on.
Did you put pictures of what you guys are doing on the
No.
hole one?
Yeah, what we're doing on hole one is I didn't get pictures of it.
Yeah, we'll put it on the next report.
So I got a piece of plywood, we drilled a bunch of holes in it about 1 inch apart. And we're just hand drilling the holes, pulling out the soil, filling them up with sand. To see, we did probably 200 or 300 square foot.
Yeah, right
Wow.
here, yeah, right here, yeah.
And seeing how that reacts.
Mexican
We
dream.
got a real heavy rain after that.
Blew you up?
No, perfect. I mean, that's the,
I'll pass my phone around just so y'all could see the video.
While you're doing that, would we be on temporary greens, or you could play the same green?
we're on temporary greens now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On 4 holes?
Just the
Yeah.
4 holes,
Yeah, and he's gonna take the sod from the nursery and hopefully get 10 and 1 open up again.
Yeah.
And then this, what he's doing right here, which takes a drill, goes how deep is it?
It's 12, 14 inches.
14 inches, pulls
That's
out.
pretty neat.
Takes out all the dirt, and then that's where they keep all the dirt, then he takes that clay and dumps it in back of a gator, they go dump it
And
somewhere.
so you go down to the clay
Yep.
when you do that?
Yep.
And he fills it in with sand.
How do you see, it's sort of like getting one of those samples. I mean, are you seeing that there's clay buildup and then sand, clay buildup, or?
Yeah, you
Okay.
can see,
Picture 6, I think.
yeah, picture 6.
There it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's from here down is clay. And here up is just dirt, dirt with clay mixture in it. Yeah.
Okay, and then there's not at any point a clear distinction between just pure sand
No.
and none of it?
You weren't here earlier, where we were talking about, like he says, 85% of the golf courses are push-up greens.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
not something out of the ordinary.
Yeah,
Right.
probably
But-
because 80% of building a golf course is building a green.
Correct. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it's
do that
labor
for the rest of the
intensive.
greens?
Yeah, that's what he's gonna.
Is it
probably-
working?
I mean,
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
working.
just,
It's
we
time.
got
I take all year.
this last weekend, we got an inch of rain.
well, it's also the machine that can do it.
And that area
I think we'll
perfect.
eventually just
And
get the
started.
core to
Yep.
come core.
Back up again.
Yep, I
Question
mean,
is
it-
when, do we
There
wanna
was
do
no
it
standing water where there
now?
would have been,
Or do we wanna do it in June and see
That
how this
area.
works, I mean, July and see how this worked out?
I love my people.
7,000.
Mexican, that's Mexican style.
I mean, I just
Yeah.
trying that to see if it's.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we're talking about. It.
Yeah.
It's obvious, the 7,000 is in the budget, like that's there. So,
I mean, before I would buy,
the $70,000 machine.
yeah, or a sand drain,
Mm-hmm.
I would buy the machine.
Mm-hmm.
Because that'll change, that'll change your soil structure.
How long before we would see if this worked? Just at least to see the first inkling of it working.
Yeah,
right?
I would say a couple of weeks, but we're
Okay.
gonna probably cover it up with sod, you
Yeah.
know.
And then I guess, sorry, I'm asking the questions because
Yeah,
I'm
no.
kind of just curious as they are. So, the $7,000 machine that comes that cores it that deep also?
Yeah.
Okay, so
But-
that's in the budget. So technically, we
Yeah.
could do that.
We
or-
could start with that.
Yeah, we can start with that, yeah.
Okay.
We'll have, excuse me,
And those 7,000 for just the whole 4 holes or the whole
No,
course?
no, the whole golf course. But then we're gonna have to put the sand down ourselves and drag it ourselves and
Yeah, yeah.
everything else. Yeah.
Oh, so it doesn't-
When
it
was the
doesn't-
last time we did a water quality deal?
Yeah, we just got that probably in March, or
Yeah.
we sent it out in February, got the results in March.
What do you think about it?
I mean, it showed that there is a silt element there. But I mean, as far as the water quality, it wasn't bad. It's not like you're pumping,
Correct.
City water.
yeah, crap or,
That might
any
work.
salt or anything like that.
Were you gonna mention, Bernal, on that? Were you gonna mention something on that?
No, I was just gonna, I noticed that you were cutting the greens, well, 'cause I just played it, and I saw the 4 temporary greens. But then I did notice on all the greens, you're cutting real tight in front. I was kinda
Yeah.
curious.
Okay, yeah, that was part of the first pack. I didn't go over that. I'm lowering the approach to all the greens, which will help. You know, if approach shot comes
The
short.
golfers that can't reach.
Yeah, it'll roll up on it.
Mando Bustamante, I love it. He loves the rollers.
You know, where the fairways were cut heavy behind the greens or huge collars, I'm bringing those in.
Yeah, good point. And I know you're not familiar with the original design of the greens, but it seems to me that the greens are being reduced in size and the color are
Increase.
being increased.
Yeah. So
So all that goes against the signature course of Robert
yeah.
Town Jones.
So I'm bringing the collars back in to normal mower width, but I'm gonna mow the approaches at 1 inch, where our rough is normally at 2 inches, and then I'm gonna put a collar on the fairway at 1 inch.
Oh, and then the roof.
Yeah, step cut, whatever you wanna go. I call it a step cut. It's
A little more
basically
detail.
a collar on the. So we'll have 2 inches of rough, 1 inch of rough, and then fairways at a 1/2 inch.
Fairways are the ones in the middle.
Yeah. Well, it brought up an interesting point on that. You know what it would take well, does all of this have to be reported to Robert Train Jones? Obviously, you don't want to, but it's one of those things that we don't want to lose and we discussed this the last time, we don't want to lose the name on that, but.
One time I was out there and I was talking to David Smith and he wanted to just bulldoze the sand trap on
Number
11.
11.
Number 11,
You
yeah.
can't do that.
Yeah.
I said, if you remember in Chambers Golf Course where they held the
Mhm.
US Open, in one of those holes, they had a similar type of design, trap. But I mean, that thing was probably twice as long. So you
Yeah.
can't do that. And it's always a problem either when it drains or even
Yeah.
Sprinklers.
the wind, yeah.
It is.
And the watering system.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's.
Yeah, it is on my list
that's
to
what you guys
fix.
get
We
paid
have a
for, so
couple
you gotta figure it
holes
out.
that the bunkers flood in.
Yeah.
And that's
It's
on my
always-
list
it's
to
always-
fix it.
It's gotta be,
Yeah.
that's always been a situation. That and number 16.
Yeah. And I just think going in and first trying to clean out the drains.
16.
Might fix the problem before you start digging into bunkers.
Yeah, no doubt. The other interesting question that came up is that after this, so you think that the quality, the silt aspect of the sample water that you got is not gonna, I mean, we're digging holes and we're gonna add sand on it and then we're gonna throw the same water in there. And I'm just wondering if that's gonna be an issue later on. I mean, so you're pretty much setting it up for more,
Yeah. I mean, I don't think, because we're putting the same water on the entire golf course.
Mhm.
And we're only seeing problems on about four to six greens.
Mhm.
We're not seeing the issues elsewhere on the tees or anywhere else. So I don't think, maybe over time, the next 10 years, it might be an issue.
Well-
Right now, I don't think.
There's 2 points there.
Yeah.
If I may add.
Yeah.
The Mandel family gave the city the use of 500 acre-feet of water per year, free. So if you start considering alternative water being the water source, you're gonna have a hellacious cost added to your operating budget, number one. The thing about the silt, it's always been there. But more, the problem was what was being built up in pond number 17, and when Tomas Rodriguez was here, he had a project which never hit their capital improvement project budget of draining it out. Now, one of the things that in terms of, you all been talking, and I've heard the thing about filtering is, you could add another pond, which, to the, adjacent to that other pond, which would serve that purpose, would you lay the, because the silt, if it's in the water and if it sits there, the silt's gonna go down, I would
Yeah,
think.
and eventually you're gonna have to,
Okay, now
Pump
the
your
other thing about adding
lake.
that other deal there is because, when there was a prospective developer for about 80 acres on hole 16 and 17, the water that drains off that development, you know, the city wanted this retention pond type of deal. And of course, the development agreement that was negotiated by the Mandel family and the city back in 2010 says, no, if you develop, you let the natural drainage go. So it would drain and they would create another pond, okay, which would serve that purpose. In addition to the fact that then people could not cut through in top of the pump house to go and lessen the distance of the second shot.
Yeah.
So it seems to me that the pond, an additional pond on number 17, it makes a lot of sense. So much you're talking about some bucks.
yeah.
On 16 or 17?
17. Allow them to start
El 17. I'm sorry.
17.
on the other side of the shack.
Where the big
Huh?
dip
On
is
the other
at,
side
yeah,
of the
drain
shack.
is at the
On the
bottom.
other side?
Yeah, because when the water, you see, the concern was, when you have houses, people, how many balls are gonna go in the houses? So Jacob said, well, we'll plant mesquite trees. Well, that's gonna take years, you know?
Yeah.
So when we started talking about developing, I said, well, what if we put water?
Yeah. And if we're pumping silt, this, me thinking about it right now, do we know how deep the lake was when it was originally built?
Well, that's a good point.
And how deep is it now?
Well,
So that'll tell us how much
The
silt.
volume of that pond
Yep,
is supposed to be such that it can take care of the watering of the whole golf course one day.
yep, and that's what we're noticing, yeah,
The
day
actual
and a
one?
little bit.
Monday?
The actual one, or the one?
Number 17.
17.
Yeah, because on the other
Can you
side, if you
determine-
break
can you
that
determine the amount?
retention,
Yeah, I can
you
take
can
the
make
measurement now.
that into
If it takes
So, you know-
a bigger
A bigger
pond.
pond. But the original pond was designed to handle the watering on summer days for one day.
For one
That's a
day.
whole lot cheaper than.
Let's say
buying
that the pump
machines for
from the river
whatever.
breaks or whatever,
Silt ponds have
you
been
can
used for
water
up and
from
down
that
the
pond for one day,
That's
the
it.
whole
Still
All
course.
the farmers.
One day.
Yeah, we'll still have to
But,
get that machine.
The other thing
Right, the
that
pump, that's
I
out
agree.
there.
the
Yeah.
Mandel family allows, if you have a breakage
fast-
of the
a
course
fast fix, we're
pump,
gonna have to go that route right now.
they can
Much
use
cheaper.
the Slitas water pump they use for irrigation. There's a bypass there where you
Last 10
pump the
years, how
water,
much silt do
you
you
have a
get?
valve, it shoots into the other line of the golf course,
Making them water
and
for
it keeps, maintains the
backhoe,
integrity of the
pull that.
water
I
rights,
don't know, but I'm wondering.
accounting,
If it was enough-
so the
enough water.
How
farming
deep was
water
it?
rights will not
That's
get,
what we're
will not
trying
get
to
charged.
figure out.
We used
So
it
we
for-
built those kind of controls are there, now
Yeah.
whether they work or not. I
No,
don't
we
know.
used it for the first time this year
Yeah.
and it worked. I mean, we got with
So
Pedro.
let me ask you this, on that, and that other pond, is it already lined? I mean, do you think it has clay, you know, so that, I mean, am I thinking it has a dam
It
already?
has bentonite or whatever, some
The
kind of.
bentonite is already in there?
¿Cuál pond?
The one that you want, that would be the ideal to open it up now?
No, the non-existent.
No, it's Zacate, that's where people land, you know, when they go over the shack.
Yeah, no, I'm wondering if during construction, it was set up so that it can retain water
No.
or not?
No,
I don't know if
they
it has
would
clay in
No,
it.
they have to dig it.
Yeah, they have to do.
But the deal, what Tomas said, and again, you know, opinions are, well, I can. He said that given the makeup of the soil on number 17, that what you needed to do was put a plastic lining like they do in
The oil
oil
waste,
fields.
waste you know, allá in the trash places,
Yeah.
where do you have, para que no se pase la cosa.
Wow.
Because I'm telling you,
No wonder he said it
ever
was a-
since the golf course started, there's water from that pond that seeps down to the Mandel pump.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's all
Mr.
funky
Jacob.
over there. On the other side of the casita, it's all funky dirt. It's real
It seeps
bad.
down
So-
to where?
You know, you
How
wouldn't
long-
be
Pump.
losing anything.
Yeah,
out
How long
of
the
it.
Slitas.
How long does it travel?
So it goes underground.
Underground?
Es lo que decía Tomás, no sé.
Do you think it travels like at least half a mile to get there, no?
No, pues it's across the fairway.
Across 16, allá por el 16
Por
on
el
the right.
16, you're talking about.
Oh, okay, yeah.
200 plus yards.
Oh, okay.
Pitching wedge.
Well,
Four, yeah.
So there was a couple of, a number of ideas that are on the table right now. Then I would suggest, Jay, I don't know what processes you have to go to approve. In my mind, and I don't know if you want us to put it to a vote, but I would say to get that company to come in and get this done.
Oh, that's already on the budget.
Yeah,
Okay.
if they go that route, we don't,
Yeah.
I don't have to go through the city,
No,
they can
that's-
jump on it tomorrow.
Okay, and then the second part is we need to start talking, again, I guess for the sake of committees, the way I've seen them work is that they, you know, it's sort of like having a bunch of fourth graders in here and having us go along with a game plan. Okay, we're done with number 4, let's check it off, and then we do it like that. And then we're just calling balls and strikes, you know, as we go along. And so if, in that case, if we all agree, well, it looks like you have a game plan in place. We need to set this thing up and then bring it here, Jay. We have to meet on a monthly basis so that we can, again, we just need to continuously go like that. And then the reason is, we can come back 2 years later and say, this is what we did 2 years ago.
Yes, Conrado.
We need to
Dug in.
move on. What else is the next
Did it
plan?
work?
Because we're only talking about fairways and greens now. We still haven't, the issues of the carts, the issues of the overall game plan of the clubhouse and the barn and everything that's needed in there. We need, those are other subject matter we need to bring forward. Because if not, we're gonna get hit, or you're gonna get hit with, hey, we need a new ice machine here, and we need this, and we need that, and we don't have any plan in place in writing that says, over the next 6 months, 8 months, we're gonna get that ice machine, and now we're gonna fix those type of problems.
Yeah, that's not, that's not easy. I just had one other, like, I wanted to talk about is, it seems like some of the fairways are getting very tight.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you see that. There's some fairways that are real good, but like, you go to number 2,
Number
you go to
2,
13,
tight.
you know, and it's super, you know, like, you almost rather be in the rough a little
Yeah,
than. and
My
I don't
plan
know.
was to aerate fairways this week. We ran into an equipment problem, so I got to buy some tines and hydraulic hoses to get that, but it is the plan to aerate, fertilize, and get the fairways.
Yeah, have we ever aerated the fairways?
Yeah, well, Richard Mora did it.
Yeah,
about
and I know
4
it's
years.
been 3 or 4 years since it's even been
Yeah.
fertilized. So that's why
Yeah.
we get the issues. So I got,
Do you still use the irrigation system
That's what I was
for,
gonna say, the fertigation.
for
no,
fertilizer?
no.
Nobody's wanted to use it anymore. It's like,
We're
I
making
told David
those-
about
those
it, and David was
holes
like, what's
just car path only, would that help it grow? Like those
Well,
few
once,
holes?
once we aerate it and get it on a maintenance program, because it's really not been on a maintenance program in a couple of years, it should be fine.
Yeah, and then just, if you can share the story, because that 7 to 11, we bought the fertigation system for that purpose, because I remember you were so adamant about it, hey, we throw the, you know, it fertigates for you, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
But it used to be, what, a caliche pit, and then they filled it in, or what was
No,
it?
that,
Which
that
one?
area. in the-
7 to,
Oh, no.
what was it?
That's where they took out the
Yeah.
topsoil so they could get to the caliche.
Yeah,
The sand and gravel.
so when they brought back,
Yeah. That's
why it's a little different.
That's that loma there, that when you go up to the tee box with number 1.
yeah,
And I think that's a problem 2 and 7
7,
over there. But when
11.
you get close to the sand traps, you know,
Mhm.
as you pass
Yeah.
the tree.
Oh, yeah.
Siete,
Oh, yeah,
it gets, you get a lot of tight lines
yeah.
there.
Yeah, it's like-
Yeah.
so when we got that fertigation system, Richard
That's where I
Mora
put
poked,
it.
and we actually used it for like a year. And that was to help change the, I guess what we're trying to do, it changed the soil a little bit by adding the chemicals and soften it up and stuff like that. Then Tom came, and Tom kind of never really bought into it. And then.
No, you rather
I just
use
don't
it
wanna
for.
start losing the fairway.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I was worried about.
Yeah, yeah,
like,
no, that's-
Before it gets too far, maybe we,
Well, the good thing about Islitas is very, very forgiving, you know, you get, it's good soil, good, it was farming.
Yeah.
That's where they used to farm it, and that's where John Deere used to have they do their tests for the tractors and stuff.
Trials.
Back then, I don't know how many years ago. So it's
Yeah.
good soil, and you get a little water, you give it a little help, man, and it really comes
Yeah.
out. But I'm not being, it's not a matter of throwing rocks here at anybody, but some years back, The problem was that there was the funding for the fertilization, the use of fertilizer on the fairways was somewhat limited. But I mean, again, that's something that the city has to, you know.
Yeah.
And that's one of the deals that I learned when I used to go and mess around over there in La Cantera is, and how they work, how Troon works. They had an operating budget and they had a capital budget.
Right.
And then the guys from Troon says, here it is, now what do you want?
Exactly. And that's what we present every year.
You know.
We really don't get a response.
And from the city boys, right?
Yeah.
Not from this guy.
No.
I understand. And let me tell you, one time I was out there, and the big honcho from Landscapes, the agronomist, the head, in fact, he was a good Aggie, and I was number 4. And you brought him, or somebody
Yeah.
brought him. And my question is, hey, what does it take to maintain this golf course? And his response was, well, what kind of golf course do you want?
Yeah.
As a muni, he says, as a muni course, this is fine. I said, but that has never been the assumption here. We don't want a muni course.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
But then, you know, what does that translate to?
Yeah. I mean,
Money.
at one,
And we have, you know, and not to be critical of our folks, but our folks will go to San Antonio and go pay $120 to play golf course. They'll stay in rooms, $200-300, and then they'll spend $500-600 on food and booze, and yet they will not. They're really adverse to paying $50-60 or $90 for a round of golf in a weekend. And I've had those discussions with some of my buddies from the Velasquez plant.
No, I mean, at one time, we were what, the best muni course in the country?
Hombre, the design is tremendous. I don't know, you can't beat it.
It's beautiful.
Well,
It's the greens, it's the greens.
Yeah.
If
Yep.
you can get the greens going back.
That's
yeah.
my goal.
Yeah.
I want us to be number 1.
Well,
But I remember him, I used to play Casablanca, and
And this is kind of a touchy deal, and I don't mean to be, but I think it needs to be asked. Now, how does all this affect the fact that you guys are going out for RFQs?
We're going out for RFQs end of June.
So, you know, whether this guy stay on or somebody goes, and I don't know how that's gonna go. But the point is, all this situation.
just get it fixed by then.
So, you know, if I was king of the world and Landscapes would go, and if we were happy, this guys were happy with you, you'd stay on.
Yes.
Because I'm gonna tell you what, I mean, everything has been discussed. Like the superintendent of Greens working for the city directly,
Yep.
working for the family directly.
Mhm. It's
But the other operators are, no.
Continuance is what's lacking.
Exactly.
Continuance.
Yes.
I mean, one comes in, does this, and uses some equipment,
Yeah.
and then the other one comes in, he doesn't use that equipment, uses something else, moves everything
And I tell you this,
around.
as a citizen, as a taxpayer, I really think that there's been a lack of appreciation by the city folks, not this guy, the elected type of what we have out there.
No, they're not golfers. They don't understand it.
And I've told them, I've told some of these guys, you know, to me, a public official goes into a bar, he's open game, you know?
Yeah.
So he comes in and said, hey, why don't you divert economic development money to the golf course? Because there's certain, I mean, when I used to talk to certain council members, we're at about $800,000 to $900,000 deficit. And that's gonna raise some eyebrows somewhere down the road, I guess.
Isn't the golf course an improvement of living in Laredo, like any water?
Quality of life?
Like
Yeah,
any swimming
it's a
pool?
draw,
I mean,
that's
swimming
right.
pools, they don't make money,
But I mean,
but they still functioning. And here, they wanna produce money and have more money than.
I'm gonna tell you something, and not that I'm blowing smoke up my own butt here, but I'm gonna tell you. I was director of finance for a city for 6 years. And if you see the budgets and you see the recreational centers, look at the metrics that they use. Their budgets are over close to $1 million plus per rec center. But they run the metrics there to which says, well, you know what? It's costing It's costing for us to operate, it costs us $20 per year for everybody that goes in. They use metrics to justify that deal. What happens with golf here is because we have a limit of golfs in Laredo. And this goes back to the economic feasibility that was done about a golf course. And it was done by Ray Palacios' son, and he was working Foresight.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, they were looking at the country club, Casablanca, another golf course, and the amount of play that it would take. We could never get the rounds for that golf course to be profitable, unless.
But the way I understand it, it doesn't have to be profitable because.
Exactly.
I mean, if we come out even,
Mira,
that's it.
there's people that come in from out of town and they go stay in, like in the embassy. Le preguntan, hey, can you get me reservations at the Max for playing golf? You know what the response at desk is? We don't do that.
Yeah.
What do you do when you go to Las Vegas and you go
Well,
to play golf? Everything is set up for
It hasn't been promoted
No,
properly.
exactly. But I tell you what, and again, not being critical to the marketing staff of the city, I've sat in meetings up there in the second floor where people say, can we do this and can we do that, and we put it in that magazine. Who gives a damn? They're reading about the Max up there somewhere and
No,
where
we need
President
people from
Biden
here.
goes every weekend.
Here in Laredo.
Exactly.
So the, yeah,
Because they promote.
and,
Yeah.
man, like what he said, we did discuss that whole with everybody that we get
Yeah.
a chance on. But, you know,
We
the
gotta move on.
idea is that we have, we have a bunch of things in front of us, and obviously this was at the forefront, you know, and dealing and tackling this problem. And I'm telling you, the reason that I think these are viable questions that we need to continuously, again, get them off our list, because then, right now, we're at the section right now where what do you want to talk about the next meeting? So obviously, this kind of has to be a continuing subject until we get them 100%, right? Every single time. But like I said, the next time around has to be the clubhouse, the barn, the carts, all that kind of stuff. Because at every meeting that we have, we need to isolate those single problems and remove them from our game. Because remember, we didn't talk about the carts or the clubhouse or anything like that. It's not part of the agenda. Obviously, we're not going to be able to discuss it. But we need to have those so that we can have all those answers done, including because we don't have that. Mr. Ryan brought up one of the things that stuck in my mind, that capital improvement budget that we had on the side. Those were the extra $2 we were charging over here on.
We've never taken it to, we need to take it to council so they
Right.
can approve it.
Right, so that we can get accessibility to it and use it for this type of stuff and things like that.
Yeah.
Those are the type of things that, you know, the meetings need to have more meat on them.
Yeah.
So that we can have that discussion ad nauseum. I mean, just get.
Since Horacio's not here,
Huh?
we're gonna talk about Horacio. That $2, that for that capital improvement fund,
Yeah.
and that's how he used it to buy the truck for Mark.
Yeah. Tell me what you said there. That's the best thing I've ever heard. I mean, but no, I guess you can't say it right.
But I mean, you know, okay, nobody will find out about it.
If it flies, floats.
I mean, in Laredo, believe.
But but real quick, because you brought up a very good point here, because I'm not gonna be here forever. But this is the reason we hired John, because he said, I would like this for be my last stop. And you're 54, 55?
58.
Oh, 58, oh, shoot. You know, so that means you're
No,
probably gonna
I-
work till you're, what, 62, 65, right? So,
75. Yeah.
there you go. So that just tells you that hopefully, you know, we figure a way to keep him.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, consistency, right? Anywhere you go, no matter what, it's all about
We need continuance, keep up with what it's been started, because also then they move Dennis and whoever comes in, oh no, I want to do it my way because this and that. I mean, that's
And Conrado's always talked about how we should have just been absorbed, kind of like a Parks and Rec, because
There you go. I mean,
Yeah,
the
but
city's
that's-
afraid of that, man.
but that would be fantastic.
But I tell you what, and you got some good people out there in your staff, and
They're
they've been
great.
there from day one.
Yep.
And, you know, we used to fight about, you gotta pay those people well, and you gotta make, you
And
know, and I know those is gonna increase the cost, and I know you guys gotta keep the cost down, because Does that contract of yours still have the stipulation that you gotta maintain a certain negative threshold for you to get renewed?
It does, but well, it's a percentage.
Well, that came from the first renewal, and the guy that pushed that was my good friend Roquevela Jr.
Yeah, which, I mean, Landscapes is good about it. They don't care as long as they get their monthly, if they get a bonus or whatever. But they're not like pushing us on it. They really want us to communicate with the city, but then you get into those situations where keep it to a certain level.
Well, we got the this is what this, and that we eliminated that. We kind of shut the chase because now we have a way to communicate back and forth, and that's what this thing is for. So
It's a hell of a golf. Hell of a golf.
So
Yeah.
now, JJ, so the next, do we have another item to discuss in there?
No, that's it, but
Okay,
that way
so
we
let's,
can add, that
let's-
way we can add,
Yeah.
How does our budget compare to, say, the country, operating budget,
for next meeting?
compare to the country club, compare to Casablanca?
yes.
I know Casablanca is very similar in the sense of what we're
Clubhouse and
spending.
restaurant.
Okay.
As far as the country club, there it's private. We don't get to see those numbers. I mean, I guess we could call and ask.
What's that?
How much it costs to play
The
golf
country
at
club,
the
operating expenses. I know that we get, we
Talk
can
to
see
Jeremiah. He'll tell you.
How much does it cost to play at the country club now?
for, if you're, it's about $125. But their dues went up.
Yeah.
Oh, no, they're doing some, I mean.
Yeah. And their initiation fee went up to 20,000. So everything's
No,
going.
they wanna tear it up and they wanna build a new golf.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, Rick, before we adjourn, we need to adjourn here. What day do we want to pick to meet? I know we talked about Thursdays.
We were doing well on the third,
Wednesdays.
we're doing well on the third Thursday of the month.
Okay, somebody.
Gary Jacobs said that they could be
Wednesday.
moved to.
On Wednesday.
The third Wednesday of the month is also good. I mean, yeah, I think. it's-
Yeah, Wednesday is good. It'll be good.
I'll use the word that Fernando used, so long as we have continuance on that.
Hey,
Well,
ready today.
I like that one.
Yeah,
we
make a
should-
motion, make a motion, somebody make a motion to do the third Wednesday of the month that we can.
Okay, so do I hear a motion so that we can have our next meeting and the following meetings on the third Wednesday of the month continuously? Do I hear a motion?
I motion.
Do I hear a second?
Got it.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, you got it.
So our next meeting,
Now-
Rick, about the $2 deal, can we get?
That, Coach, can we bring that up to council?
we can bring it up to council.
Bring it up.
Well, okay, so, being anytime that we charge a fee or any, either with decrease or increase, we gotta take it to, as an introductory ordinance, and then it goes to a final reading, and then if everything goes through, then we're good.
Yeah,
So,
because it was last year that we decided to do it.
so
Yeah.
we're gonna go through it, we're gonna
Okay,
do
let's
the
do it.
$2.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, it was-
so that's one.
It was supposed to be in effect on last October,
Right,
but it
Okay.
didn't happen.
right. So, let's bring it up for the next meeting, because we probably have to vote on it and get
Yes.
it going, number
Yes.
one. Number two,
Yes.
then we can have a staff report on not only the clubhouse, the cards and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
We're already in the summer months, and we just need to have an answer so that anytime the public asks.
Peace
we've
of
already
mind,
discussed it.
August 7th, the carts get here. Peace of
Okay.
mind. Right now, we're at 55 golf carts.
That's
huh?
awesome.
Yeah,
That's good, that's good.
August 7th?
August 7th.
The other item would be any, from that point on, we get an answer on those $2 and where we stand with that amount.
You have it in the meeting?
We need to have a wish list after that, including first and foremost, whatever they need over here, and then we move on from there.
Got it.
Okay, anything else? Everybody okay, JJ?
No, yeah, I think
Okay,
we're just going
and
over our
anytime,
motion.
and so what happens is anytime between now and next month, before they post, we can call them in and say, we need to put this item on the agenda. We can discuss it as it goes along, so anything that you.
Anything y'all need to add,
Anything
Gloria?
we didn't discuss right now, or do you think about, go ahead and call them up so that we can get it as part of that.
Okay.
Okay,
great.
so you have a motion for adjournment? Motion to adjourn?
To go plates, $3.
Second on that?
Second.
All those in favor for adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, good meeting.
Go ahead.